Hello, and welcome to Stories from the View, a podcast from the Pleasant View Senior Center in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. On this podcast, we invite local area residents to tell us stories about their lives and events. This morning, Phil Van Cott, artist and Vietnam veteran, will talk about an upcoming event at the Norcross Center here in East Longmeadow in commemoration of Veterans Day. Good morning, Phil.
Hi, Ed. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hear me well?
Can
you hear me well?
There you go. That's good.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So we know each other.
I met Ed about, 5 years ago?
That's about 5 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
at the gym.
At the gym. Yeah.
And we found out that you and I had been Marines.
There we go.
Yeah, and that kind of kicked off the relationship.
Yeah.
And
Brooklyn.
It's been interesting.
And Brooklyn before the Marines, the Brooklyn connection.
Oh, yeah. He was actually born, about 2.5 miles away from me.
There we
a
go.
mile and a half.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
you know the
something.
Gowanus Canal and everything like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you and I,
and then Gerritsen Beach.
I wasn't close to that, but I used to drive by it quite a bit.
Yeah.
As a kid, and that was beyond Coney Island.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to one of the few high schools I went to as a child.
Okay.
Was up by Coney Island, Lincoln High School. Yeah.
Okay. So, you were an artist. Yeah.
I was never an artist until I was 32.
Well, that's what I wanted to find out. When did you get interested in being an artist?
I never even thought about it as a child. I played sports, football. The streets of Brooklyn was always an active place. That was, Brooklyn streets were our playground as a child. Plus, we had the East River, which, again, as I said before, I'd swim in. And but we did have a public pool right around the corner from where I lived. Parks were all over the place. So everything was centered around sports, and that's how I grew up. Never gave art a thought. And then as things went on, I got older. I went to Vietnam and so on and so forth. I got married. And then we moved up to the New England area. And one weekend we went to a display of something. And there was a woman, Sally Kinnear. I just remembered her name from 40, 50 years ago. And she was giving lessons. And I was 32 at the time. And at that point, I picked up a brush and I haven't put it down since. It's been about almost 45 years that I've been painting now. And again, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this. It just occupies me all the time. So
when we met, it was because you were doing a one-man show at Christ Church, I think it's called, at the Quadrangle.
Oh, the Christ Savior Church, I think. Something like that. Yes, I was putting up paintings that I had done from my memories of Brooklyn, the streets, the games we used to play. Yeah, that was a fun.
I love those.
Those are, and it was they're colorful, but it was a colorful time. We just roller skating, playing stickball, basketball, girls skipping rope, chasing girls, things of that, throwing them into the fire hydrant, chasing them up the street. It was that type of an existence. And our parents worked, and they weren't there. And so we played and played.
I remember those days.
Yeah. It was a wonderful time. You'll never see it again, but it was a wonderful time.
So, one-man show. You have a one-man show coming up here in East Longmeadow that we want to talk about. That's taking place on November 10th, the day before Veterans Day.
Yes.
And it's in commemoration of Veterans Day. But the subject is Vietnam.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You served in Vietnam. So tell us about your Vietnam art.
When I was 20, I was doing different jobs. I hadn't gone to college. And as 20 approached, and as it became that day, I received a draft notice from the Army. And about 2 weeks later, I went down to the induction center, and they asked for volunteers for the Marine Corps. So at that point, I volunteered for the Marine Corps. But it was only for 2 years, just like it would have been in the Army. If you joined the Marine Corps outright, it would have been a 4-year commitment. I got drafted, I figured 2, and I joined the Marine Corps. And that's what I did.
So you now fast forward to many years. Your art is about, or some of the art that you do is about Vietnam.
Yes.
Your experiences there.
Yeah. It's some of it. It never leaves your mind. Mm-hmm. It's always there. The things I looked at or I tried to recreate is the feeling of the beauty of the country. The greens were incredible. When I pulled up in the ship, we pulled up to Vietnam, I couldn't believe there was a war going on. It looked like it was, Shangri-La. And then I heard the booms, and then you hear the explosions, and things take on a different... you look at things from a different perspective. But it was... I got to a company called Mike Company, M Company, 3rd Battalion, 7 Marines. First night, I got to the hill, our outpost. It was raining like hell. I never had been in a situation like that before, and they stuck me out in a hole just to make sure that everybody was secure. And you had about a 2 or 3 hour tour of duty in that hole just to make sure they weren't overrun, we'd say, or people didn't sneak in, sappers, as they used to call them. And it's raining like hell, and all of a sudden, here I am from Brooklyn, New York, sitting on a hill in the middle of a jungle, and, looking at everything I could possibly see. It was scary, yeah.
I would imagine.
I don't know if I was afraid or alert, but it was probably both. Probably both. It was an experience and a half.
So the unit that you were in had a videographer embedded with it?
No.
No.
I was there about 3 months, and I had gone to R&R in Tokyo. And when I got back, there was a film crew there. Mm-hmm. And the head of the film crew was Gene Jones, and he was a cinematographer. At the time, he had done a number of things, and he wanted to do a real... put something together that actually showed Vietnam as it was on a day-to-day basis for the average, I would say, grunt or soldier, infantryman, rifleman. That's what I was, all of those. So he wanted to do that, and he was with us for 3 months. I got hit before the movie was finished, and but at the end, you see me doing certain things, and what they would do is tell where I came from, wounded in action, so on and so forth. So they introduced everybody in my company, and some of the guys died, and they would say that at Lieutenant Kempner, and it was an incredible experience.
The name of the movie?
A Face of War. Mm-hmm. And it came out, it was filmed in 1966 while I was there in Vietnam, serving with Mike 37, as I said before, on a combat base in Vietnam, South Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And he was with us on a day-to-day basis. He and 2 of his photographers, 3 actually, 3 photographers. And whatever we did, they did. And they followed us throughout the time I was there on a regular basis. So it was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Just talking to the guys, it was an interesting experience.
It's a very powerful movie. I mean, I watched it, and it no narration.
No.
It's just the what is heard there as it's happening.
Yeah.
Some pretty harrowing experiences, some
Had they got, excuse me,
Go on.
had they gotten there earlier, we were overrun about, they got there in July. We got overrun on July 15th at 1:30 in the morning by I forget how many, but there were about 300 or 400. We had about 90 guys up on a hill, maybe. And they got in through the wire, and about 1:30 in the morning, got quite interesting. And yeah,
So
that went on for about 2.5, 3 hours. We were fighting up on the hill itself, like that.
So the art exhibit is going to be on here in East Longmeadow, exhibit of your Vietnam art
Yes.
at the Norcross Center on November 10th between 10 and 4. And in fact, the film will also be being shown at
Yes,
the
it
same
will.
time. We're going
Yes,
to have
it
that. We're going to have that set up.
Good. Yeah, I think that'll be fairly interesting. It's although it's in black and white and it's kind of rough. It was 35 millimeter at the time, but it was. It shows up in different movies every once in a while. I saw my machine gun in a documentary the other day on TV, and the guy was pouring. He was a machine gun. The guy was pouring water on the machine gun because you get 600 rounds a minute. It's a lot. They get hot. So rice paddy water was just being. So I said, "Oh, that's Smitty."
Oh,
Who
jeez.
was that?
Yeah.
How many years ago? Jesus, I'm 79.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. And I noticed that in the film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The guy with the glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that was Smitty.
Yeah.
It was it's an amazing situation to be in as a young man who dreamt about doing it his whole life because of the way or the time I grew up was right after the Second World War. And you go to combat thinking that that's how it is. So you perform, hopefully, the way you should. And I wouldn't trade that experience for all the money in the world. I mean that, yeah. But then again, I look at the faces of the guys who fell. Kind of forever young,
And faces are part of your art. You have.
I found I had an acuity for
Yeah.
it. I found after doing all the scenes of guys doing this and guys doing that, it's kind of gotten down to the faces. Just quick sketches have turned into, better, more complete pieces. But the quick ones, really, you get it. It happens, and you look at it, and there it is. And so I just leave it alone. So the paper, it's not finished. It is finished. The face is finished. I don't care about the rest of the canvas.
Now, in some cases, the faces, there's going to be a story as well that goes along with.
Not with the faces.
Not with the faces.
But with
okay.
the scenes, yeah, I'll be giving you. It's one where a Marine's looking over his shoulder and there's a helicopter coming. And here comes my ride.
Oh, okay.
Moments before I got hit, I have a painting where I'm going like this as I'm looking this way. And that's exactly how it happened. I saw something and I went after it. And I tripped a booby trap about 5 yards, 10 yards into the jungle. I was on the road. But I did see something. That's why I was there. And there was no reason in all reality for that to be there because it was not on the road. It was someplace, I don't know, I wouldn't have gone for it in the first place. So maybe I was set up. I don't know. Could be. They heard us coming. And they always found us before we found them. We always walked into something. You couldn't, I had never been in a situation where we knew where they were and we got them in that situation. We had to go, they had to fire at us for us to know where they were, and then we'd go. But, you lose a lot of people that way because I was a point man quite a bit, and that's how I got hit. I was out front. And you just don't know. Like I tripped a booby trap, just like I was in the middle of a jungle. Who the hell is going to put something there? But there it was. So it was always a surprise, and they always welcomed you to wherever they saw you. I was pinned down about 5 times there myself as a point man, just being out front where people just see you and they just, what they do is they concentrate their fire on you.
Did you keep in touch with any of the?
Oh yeah, we have reunions. Okay. I don't go anymore. Most of the guys of my time don't attend anymore because most of them are dead. We lost our Gunny Figueroa about 3 or 4 months ago. He was a Marine. I was asked, why did you? I remember. And when we heard we were going to Vietnam, we cheered. It's strange.
Wow.
You would think about that, right? But the guy said, why? I says, why else would you be a Marine? And that was true. I mean, I say that till this day. Why would you be a Marine if you didn't want to get,
Yeah.
And that's how I believe.
So how was your experience at Paris Island?
Oh, it's horrible. It's a horrible place. Horrible. Just terrible people.
Marine boot camp.
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. From the moment that little guy got on the bus with the hat, with the Smokey Bear hat, man, they started screaming at us. And, geez,
I remember.
Lose all your hair. How long did it take to get a haircut? About 13 seconds. And then they give you all your stuff. And it was wild. It was wild. They make you...
The bugs.
They get your attention. The bugs. Yeah, you can't move.
That's right.
Oh no, you can't move. That was a no-no. Yeah, and you paid for it when you did. In fact, everybody paid for it. If you made a bad move, the whole company paid for it. That's the way it was. So it was an experience and a half.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that again. I go back to Vietnam before I go back to Paris Island. Shit.
So. The exhibit is at the Norcross Center.
Yes, it'll be on actually the Marine Corps birthday.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
It's going to be on November 10th is the Marine Corps birthday, and the 11th is Veterans Day. And I'm going to show it looks like about 20 paintings, 19 to 20 paintings, along with the movie. There'll be one book will have nothing but sketches of faces, war, faces of war. And I hope it's received well. I think it will be. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And
we're going to have some refreshments. American Legion is 290 post 293, I believe it is.
Is it the VFW or is it the
American Legion?
It's the American Legion.
Around the corner from the Norcross Center.
They're going to help me out with that.
Yeah.
They're going to help me hang.
Yeah,
and they're also going to provide refreshments.
Yeah.
And it should be a fun time. It should be nice, and it should be eye-opening, I would think.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Yeah, okay. Me too.
All right.
Good. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks, Phil. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
See you around.
All right.
Phil, thank you for being here with us this morning. And we look forward to the show. The Stories from the View podcast is available on the LCAT 01028 channel on YouTube. If you have a story you'd like to share on the program, contact Pleasant View Senior Center Director Erin Kobler by stopping by the Pleasant View Senior Center or by calling at 413-525-5436, extension 1401. Or send her an email at erin.kobler@eastlongmeadowma.gov. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time at Stories from the View.